Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of both Leprechaun Origins as well as Leprechaun Returns, which came out in 2014 and 2018.
Bloody Jacob.
Bloody Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
In terms of a plan, we fight.
Sexy, awesome, exclusive content.
So yeah, happy Halloween guys, and I apologize for the noise, background noise, laundry going. Yes, I'm in the basement, but I don't live alone or in my mom's basement, okay? This is my basement, so there's a difference. But yeah, happy Halloween guys. This is the first video, hopefully, of like 3 I have out tonight. There's going to be this one, my review of, finally, of Redwood Massacre Annihilation, which I watched weeks ago when it came out. And finally, I'm going to do a video sort of ranking my top 5, top 10 favorite horror franchises. We'll see about that one. Still got to kind of pin that down. But yeah, you know, as you guys know, I've been kind of on a Leprechaun craze lately. I've reviewed all the original films, all the Warwick Davis films, and then I finally got to these two. I'm wearing a Leprechaun shirt, by the way. Got it off of Fright Rags. Hopefully you can see some of the detail. I think it's pretty cool. There you go. So yeah, I've kind of fallen in love with the Leprechaun franchise. You know, I've really enjoyed watching them. It is one of my favorite horror series now at this point for sure. So I was hesitant, but also, you know, kind of morbidly curious, you know, to see how these films would turn out, and definitely two different results, two very, very different fucking results here. Let me tell you. And again, I apologize for my webcam. I know it's not the greatest quality. It's just somehow faster to upload with than my phone is for some reason. I do need to get a better camera. I'm aware. No need to just leave a comment about that. I got it. But yeah, so Leprechaun Origins. It was on this Blu-ray steelbook set I have the original films. In my opinion, I just wish they would have kept it off of it. Would just like this to be the original films on here. But it is what it is. Just coincided with the release when this came out, I imagine. Yeah, Leprechaun Origins, Lionsgate WWE Studios film, came out in 2014. It stars, yes, Hornswoggle as the Leprechaun, apparently. Did not like this movie. Shocker, right? It has very little to do with the Leprechaun we all know and love. Not only is it not Warwick Davis playing him, but Hornswoggle here was actually a fan of the Leprechaun movies, apparently. He had watched them all and was actually pretty excited to play the character. But instead we get what really just seems to be like, there's my dog there. What really seems to be like just like an animatronic, you know, operated creature or something like that, puppet sort of thing, or I don't know. If you didn't know anyone was actually playing them, you wouldn't think anyone did. That's the thing. So why they bothered to get anyone? Hornswoggle does have personality. I'm a wrestling fan. I know he probably could have done all right with it, but no, they don't give him any dialogue. He's just like a generic monster. This movie really becomes more of a creature feature, unfortunately. Just let me help my dog here for a second. But yes, this movie really becomes more of a creature feature. The creature itself, again, the supposed leprechaun, really looks more like a Wendigo or like one of the creatures from The Descent. Like, it doesn't look bad, technically, but it's definitely not what they should have done. I understand now they were apparently going for a more serious, you know, retelling of the Leprechaun, going back to like its roots, its you know, original folklore. Apparently, I don't know. They should have just titled it something else. They had to make money, but it would have made more sense with a similar kind of title, and it would have just been about like another sort of leprechaun, folklore thing, not like trying to make bank off of the Warwick Davis series. But it is what it is with that. Like I said, it's really just a creature feature. It is dead serious too. There's really no humor to it. The cast is okay. That's one thing about it. I think the cast actually could have worked if it was a proper Leprechaun movie. I mean, we have Brendan Fletcher, who hopefully some genre fans should recognize. He's been in a lot of movies with my favorite actress, Catherine Isabel. He's done a lot of stuff, from Freddy vs. Jason. He was Grady, the main kid in Werewolf of Fever Swamp. He's just done a shit ton. Then you have Melissa Ruxburg, who's been on a lot of TV lately. Teach Grant, who genre fans should recognize as well. Stephanie Bennett didn't do too bad of a job either. So really the cast I didn't really have much of an issue with. But it's just a very kind of basic, bland creature feature. It wasn't a terrible movie, but because it was, again, trying to make bank off of the Leprechaun series, I'm being a little bit harsher on it because I love that film series. So I rate it like a D plus on my Facebook page and IMDb, so I'm sticking to that here. Okay, dog. Anyway. Yeah, not much more to say about it. It ends how you'd expect. It's very predictable. Yeah, not much more to say, really. Okay, and now finally, I get to talk about Leprechaun Returns. Yes, Leprechaun Returns, which came out in 2018. Now, this is actually a made-for-TV movie, I believe. It actually aired on the Sci-Fi Channel as a Sci-Fi original or something. Which, some people automatically chalk off as, okay, that means it's terrible. No. I can't speak for their movies as much, but Sci-Fi does have some pretty damn good shows. They had Z Nation, Blood Drive, Van Helsing, which is going to its final season soon. I love that show. And some other stuff, so don't necessarily write it off. I actually have the Leprechaun Returns Blu-ray right here. Now, what would be perfect is if this movie was in the Steelbook set instead of Origins. This feels like a true successor to what we want and expect from the franchise. Now, again, it is unfortunately not Warwick Davis in the role. He had turned it down, said that he wants to step away from horror for a bit because he wants to have his kids grown and out and everything. His perspective had changed on it, I guess, but still, leaving the door open, maybe he will return to the role someday with, all the different reboots and follow-ups we get these days. I think, in the next 10 or so years, we might actually see him come back to the role. For this, though, we got a guy named Lyndon Porco, who's actually my age, 24 years old right now, playing the Leprechaun, and I gotta say, he did a bang-up job, I will admit. Now, this is much more faithful and, closer to what Warwick Davis did. Some people have criticized it, saying, okay, he was just impersonating Warwick Davis or imitating him. Kinda. But he did well with it. I'd much rather have this than, the generic creature feature crap we got from Leprechaun Origins. I actually really like the makeup on the Leprechaun in this movie as well. I think it looks quite good. So yeah, it does sort of, do what we see a lot with horror movies these days, from Halloween to others, saying it's the true sequel, it's a follow-up to the original film, and ignores all the others. It does that. But it actually does it, pretty well. It leaves off from where Leprechaun was, supposedly destroyed in the well at the end of the first film. We have Jennifer Aniston's character's daughter as our lead in this. And the actress who imitated her voice in one of these, when the Leprechaun was trying to, mess with our protagonist's mind, actually sounded quite a bit like Jennifer Aniston, so it didn't do too bad. But of course, you don't expect to see Jennifer Aniston in these movies anymore. But still, we have Mark Holton returning as Ozzy from the original film, which is kind of nice. He's pretty good here as well. The acting in general, though, isn't very good. I will say that. Now Taylor's Spretzelier. I probably just butchered her name. Spretler. She didn't do too bad. She's the actress, again, playing Jennifer Aniston's daughter. The rest of them, though, well, not necessarily boring or bland. Just the serious acting performance wasn't very good. You know, it felt like they were just reciting lines most of the time. And it's about a group of sorority sisters who tear down the house scene in Leprechaun to build and greenify a new house. They inadvertently awaken the Leprechaun who still wants to get his gold back. So it's trying to send off like an environmental theme and stuff like that. At least with the characters. Some people were annoyed by that. I didn't think it was too overwhelming. It's not like they preach about it or anything. It's not like it'd be bad if they did. It's a good message, but it doesn't hone in on it too much, so I'm not sure why people are complaining about it. But yeah, the acting isn't very good. Although, again, I gotta emphasize, I actually really liked Lyndon Porco's Leprechaun. Like I said, I really hope and I believe and I'd like to see Warwick Davis come back to the role at some point. But if Lyndon Porco gets a sequel, which I'd actually honestly love to see, I wouldn't mind seeing him do another 1 or 2 films and then Warwick Davis come back. I'd be fine with that. But yeah, I if you didn't already pick up on it, I really enjoyed Leprechaun Returns. I was really pleasantly surprised by it. It has a nice production value too, especially for being a TV movie. It used its budget quite well. It's filmed really competently. It's probably one of the 2 most well-made films in the franchise, really. Again, the Leprechaun has his personality back. Lyndon Porco does a nice job with that. There's actually some pretty, violent and gory, pleasing kills in this as well. I don't want to spoil them, but one involving what are those called? Like the not sunscreen, but like the panels you'd use to get solar energy. I'll say something involves that. Sorry about that. And then there's another creative one right at the beginning when the Leprechaun is introduced, and a couple others are pretty good as well. But yeah, so really not much in the way of complaints, besides the acting. I really enjoyed it. It had some really, humorful lines, funny lines I liked quite a bit. Again, the characters could have been better, but it worked for what it was. Yeah, honestly, if I had to rate Leprechaun Origins, I'd give it, like I said, a D+. If I rated Leprechaun Returns, I'd actually give it like a B+. I liked it that well. Now I hope to do more ranking videos in the next month or 2. But honestly, I think Leprechaun Returns may be one of the very best Leprechaun movies we've ever had. And that's coming from someone who's enjoyed them all to some extent somehow. So I think it's honestly one of the 2 or 3 best. So yeah, I actually really, really liked it. I dug it, guys. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about both of them. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.